In our history, where legends and myths often intertwine, there are those rare figures whose lives surpass the bounds of folklore to become emblems of human potential. One such figure, shrouded in both historical fact and mystical allure, stands out as a paragon of martial prowess and philosophical depth. He is Miyamoto Musashi, a name that resonates through many years, not merely as a warrior, but as an enigma, a man whose life journey encapsulates the essence of the way of the samurai. Miyamoto Musashi was born in a small village in Harima province, an era when the samurai class wielded significant power. His father, Shinmen Munisai, was an accomplished martial artist and master of sword and jute. Musashi's mother died in his infancy, and his father's subsequent absence due to his duties or possible estrangement left Musashi in the care of his uncle, a Buddhist priest. This early exposure to both martial prowess and spiritual teachings laid a complex foundation for his life. Young Musashi, known in his childhood as Benosuke, was not an ordinary child. From an early age, he exhibited signs of exceptional talent and a fierce, indomitable temperament. These traits were to become the cornerstones of his later life as a legendary swordsman and philosopher. In the quiet, rural setting of his village, Benosuke's extraordinary abilities began to surface. He was quick to learn and quicker to question, displaying a keen intellect and an insatiable curiosity. But it was his temperament that set him apart. He possessed a certain intensity, a focus that was rare for his age. This was a child who, when he set his mind to a task, pursued it with a determination that was almost unyielding. With his mother's early passing and his father's preoccupation with the ways of war, young Benosuke was entrusted to the care of his uncle, a Buddhist monk. In the tranquil yet disciplined environment of the monastery, Benosuke received an education that was atypical for a warrior in training. He learned to read and write, delving into the rich tapestry of Buddhist texts and scriptures. His uncle, recognizing the boy's sharp intellect, guided him through the underpinnings of Buddhism and Zen principles. This education was not merely academic. It was a cultivation of the mind and spirit, an early grounding in the principles of balance, harmony, and inner peace. While his intellectual and spiritual education progressed under his uncle's watchful eye, Benosuke's martial training was influenced heavily by his father, Shinmen Munisai. Munisai was a warrior of considerable repute, skilled in the art of swordsmanship and the jute. Though not always present, his influence on young Benosuke was profound. Through occasional visits, or perhaps through the stories and lessons passed down, Munisai instilled in his son the fundamentals of combat. It was from his father that Benosuke learned about the sword, not just as a weapon, but as an extension of the body and mind. The lessons were not just about technique, but also about the warrior's ethos, about honor, courage, and discipline. The duality of Benosuke's upbringing, the spiritual and intellectual rigor under his uncle's tutelage, combined with the martial heritage from his father, laid the foundation of what was to become a unique and unparalleled path in the history of martial arts. Even in these early years, the synthesis of Zen thought and martial discipline began to shape Benosuke's perspective, a perspective that would one day be immortalized in his writings and his way of life. The transition from boyhood to the path of a warrior is a defining moment in the life of a samurai. For Miyamoto Musashi, then known as Benosuke, this transformational event unfolded when he was just 13 years old. It was a moment that would not only test his skill and courage, but also set the trajectory of his legendary life. Musashi's first duel was against Arima Kihei, a samurai who had issued a public challenge. Kihei, an experienced warrior, was confident and skilled, having honed his abilities in the disciplined world of the samurai. For young Benosuke, this was more than a challenge. It was an opportunity to step out from the shadows of training and into the light of real combat. The duel was not a reckless act of youthful bravado, but a calculated decision, born from a deep sense of destiny and a burning desire to prove his mettle. As the duel commenced, it became immediately apparent that this was no ordinary confrontation. Musashi, with a presence far beyond his years, displayed a calmness that belied his age. He moved with a precision and awareness that were the hallmarks of not just physical prowess, but of a strategic mind. Kihei, perhaps underestimating his young opponent, found himself outmaneuvered at every turn. The duel, steeped in the formalities of samurai code, escalated quickly beyond mere formality. The decisive moment came swiftly. Musashi, exploiting an opening, struck with his wooden staff. The blow, delivered with both accuracy and force, was a testament to his skill and the culmination of his years of training. Kihei, overwhelmed by the unexpected ferocity and technique of his young opponent, was defeated. This victory was not merely about survival. It was a profound declaration of Musashi's destiny as a warrior. This is where Musashi truly started his journey as a Ronin. Now the term Ronin in feudal Japan referred to a samurai without a lord or master. This status could arise from various circumstances: the loss of a lord through death or disgrace, a samurai being set adrift due to political upheavals, or personal choice. A Ronin was essentially a masterless samurai, often seen as a social outcast, living on the fringes of the strictly hierarchical samurai society. We will still say samurai, though, because it definitely sounds cooler. The aftermath of his first duel reverberated beyond the immediate spectators. Musashi's victory at such a young age against a seasoned samurai was not just a personal triumph. It was a public statement of his arrival on the stage of martial arts. It marked the beginning of a journey that would see him become one of the most revered and studied swordsmen in history. This duel was not just a rite of passage. It was the first step in the forging of a legend, a testament to the emergence of a warrior whose name would become synonymous with mastery and strategy. Victorious and emboldened by his first duel, Miyamoto Musashi embarked on a journey that was both literal and metaphorical. This phase of his life, often referred to as Mushashugyo, or the warrior's pilgrimage, was a time of intense self-discovery, learning, and the honing of his martial arts skills. Musashi's approach to training during these years was marked by a relentless pursuit of excellence and a deep commitment to personal growth. He engaged in rigorous self-training, often spending hours perfecting his techniques and experimenting with different styles. His training was not confined to the physical aspects of martial arts. It was an exploration of the mental and spiritual dimensions as well. Musashi immersed himself in meditation and contemplation, seeking to harmonize his mind and body, a principle deeply rooted in Zen Buddhism. As Musashi traveled, he sought out challenges and learning opportunities. He challenged established schools and masters, not out of arrogance, but with a genuine desire to learn and grow. These encounters were more than mere duels. They were exchanges of knowledge and skill. Musashi's respect for the martial arts and his opponents was evident in his approach. He observed, learned, and adapted techniques from different schools, never restricting himself to the teachings of one style. This period of wandering and learning was pivotal in shaping Musashi's unique style and philosophy. He was not bound by the rigid structures or dogmas of any single school of martial arts. Instead, he absorbed a myriad of techniques, filtering them through his own understanding and experience. This eclectic approach led to the development of his renowned two-sword technique, Niten Ichi-ryu. This style, characterized by the simultaneous use of a long and a short sword, was unconventional and revolutionary. It was a physical manifestation of his broader philosophy: adaptability, fluidity, and the breaking of conventional boundaries. The experiences during these wandering years went beyond the development of martial skills. Musashi's encounters, victories, and even defeats were a forge for his life philosophy. He began to see the sword not just as a weapon, but as a tool for understanding life. His philosophy embraced the idea of the way, a path of continuous self-improvement, not just in martial arts, but in all aspects of life. As Miyamoto Musashi transitioned from his late teens into his early 20s, the very fabric of Japan was being reshaped. The late 16th and early 17th centuries were a time of monumental changes, marked by turbulent power struggles and a shift towards unification under a single rule. During this era, Japan was emerging from the Sengoku period, a time often characterized as the Age of Warring States. It was a tumultuous era where daimyos, feudal lords, vied for power and territory. This period was not just about conflict. It was a time of cultural flourishing and martial development. For a young samurai like Musashi, it was an era that provided both challenges and opportunities. The pivotal moment in this era of transformation was the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600. This battle was not merely a military conflict, it was a decisive turning point that led to the establishment of the Tokugawa shogunate, a regime that would rule Japan for over 2 centuries. Musashi, then in his late teens, found himself amidst this historical upheaval. The experience of Sekigahara was transformative for Musashi. Amidst the chaos of battle, He witnessed the intricate strategies employed by the warring factions, the ebb and flow of combat, and the importance of discipline and unity in an army. These observations enriched his understanding of warfare, extending beyond individual duels to the broader canvas of military strategy. His participation in this battle honed his martial skills, teaching him valuable lessons about timing, positioning, and the psychology of conflict. As Musashi left the battlefields of Sekigahara behind, he carried with him a deeper understanding of the art of war. This understanding was not confined to the technical aspects of combat, but encompassed a more profound appreciation of strategy, psychology, and the human aspects of warfare. In the years following Sekigahara, Musashi's prowess with the sword began to gain widespread recognition. He engaged in numerous duels across Japan, each encounter serving as a crucible for refining his techniques and deepening his understanding of combat. These duels were not merely physical confrontations. They were manifestations of Musashi's relentless pursuit of martial perfection. His reputation grew with each victory, marking him as a formidable warrior in an era replete with skilled swordsmen. One of Musashi's early duels post-Sekigahara was against a renowned samurai named Akiyama in the western provinces. This duel, though less famous, was significant in Musashi's journey. Akiyama was skilled in the use of the yari, spear, and the duel showcased Musashi's ability to adapt to different weapons and styles. Musashi was obviously victorious. One of Musashi's most significant series of duels was with the Yoshioka school in Kyoto, a renowned martial arts school of the time. The Yoshioka family were esteemed swordsmen, and their school was a symbol of martial excellence. Musashi's challenge to the school was audacious, a testament to his confidence and desire to test his skills against the best. The duels with the Yoshioka swordsmen were fierce and strategic. Musashi's victories, particularly against Yoshioka Seijuro and Denshichiro, the school's masters, marked a turning point in his life. These victories solidified his reputation as a peerless swordsman and demonstrated his strategic acumen and innovative approach to combat. Perhaps the most legendary of Musashi's duels was his encounter with Sasaki Kojiro, known for his mastery of a long katana and the Tsubame Geshi technique. The duel took place on Ganryu Island in 1612. Musashi's arrival, deliberately late and armed with a wooden sword carved from an oar, was as much a psychological tactic as it was a strategic choice. The duel was brief but decisive, ending in a fatal blow. Beyond these famous encounters, Musashi's life was filled with numerous other duels and challenges, each contributing to his legend. Duels with men like Musogonosuke, the founder of the Shinto Muso-ryu school of Jojutsu, and the famed monk Agon, who fought with a staff, tested Musashi's versatility and adaptability in battle. Throughout these years of dueling, Musashi continued to refine his two-sword technique, Niten Ichiryu. This style became his signature, a unique contribution to the art of swordsmanship. It was a physical embodiment of his broader philosophical principles, something that he is remembered for until today. As the sun set on the era of the samurai warrior, Miyamoto Musashi, a figure whose very name evoked the essence of martial prowess, began to tread a different path. This transition from a life dominated by the sword to one immersed in philosophy was not abrupt, but a gradual metamorphosis, influenced by a multitude of factors. Several key elements catalyzed Musashi's shift towards philosophy. Firstly, the changing political landscape of Japan under the Tokugawa shogunate brought relative peace, reducing the demand for martial prowess. This period of peace offered Musashi an opportunity for introspection and a re-evaluation of his life's purpose beyond combat. Secondly, the cumulative impact of his duels, each a brush with death, instilled in him a profound understanding of the fleeting nature of life, steering him towards deeper existential contemplation. Lastly, Musashi's encounters with various scholars, monks, and artists during his travels exposed him to diverse philosophical and spiritual perspectives, enriching his worldview. As Musashi delved deeper into philosophical study, he began to integrate the principles he had learned in combat into a broader understanding of life and strategy. He saw parallels between the way of the sword and the way of living. The same principles that guided him in duels, adaptability, strategy, and mindfulness, were applicable to the challenges of everyday existence. This realization marked the beginning of his transition from a warrior to a philosopher. With the waning of his days as a duelist, Musashi's focus turned increasingly towards reflection and teaching. He spent his later years traveling less, settling periodically in various domains, invited by lords who respected his expertise and wisdom. In this phase of his life, Musashi took on students, imparting not just the techniques of swordsmanship, but also the philosophical insights he had gained. His teachings transcended mere physical combat, delving into the art of strategy, the importance of balance in life, and the pursuit of mastery in all endeavors. It was during this period that Musashi began penning his thoughts, which would eventually be compiled into the Book of Five Rings. This work, a treatise on swordsmanship, strategy, and tactics, was also a profound philosophical discourse, offering wisdom on discipline, focus, and the pursuit of excellence. Written in 1643, just 2 years before his death, this work was a culmination of a lifetime of learning and experience. Musashi chose to write this treatise in a cave, the Regando, a place of solitude that allowed him to delve deep into his thoughts without distraction. The Book of Five Rings is structured around 5 books or chapters, each representing an element: earth, water, fire, wind, and void. This structure was not just a literary choice, but a reflection of Musashi's philosophy. Each element symbolized a different aspect of combat and life strategy. The Earth book focused on the fundamentals of swordsmanship and strategy. Water represented flexibility and adaptability. Fire symbolized the heat of battle and aggression. Wind pertained to the understanding of the opponent, and void represented the concept of mushin, the state of no mind, a complete presence in the moment. Zen Buddhism and Shintoism heavily influenced Musashi's philosophical writings. He emphasized the importance of mindfulness, the transient nature of life, and the pursuit of a path that transcended mere physical existence. Musashi's philosophy was about harmonizing the spiritual with the martial, achieving a state of balance where the mind and body acted as one. The impact of the Book of Five Rings extended far beyond the realms of martial arts. Its principles found resonance in various fields, including business strategy, leadership, and personal development. Musashi's insights into strategy, dealing with adversity, and the importance of continuous self-improvement spoke to a universal audience. In the tapestry of modern culture, where historical figures often fade into the backdrop, Miyamoto Musashi stands as a notable exception. His influence reaches into the present day, captivating the minds of diverse individuals, including public figures like Joe Rogan. Rogan, a multifaceted personality, a comedian, podcast host, and martial artist, carries Musashi's imprint quite literally, with a tattoo of the legendary samurai on his body, stating that Musashi inspired his entire journey in life through the quote, "Once you understand the way broadly, you can see it in all things." As Musashi's life approached its twilight, he composed the Dokkodo, the way of walking alone. This short text, consisting of 21 precepts, was Musashi's final philosophical testament, a distillation of a lifetime of experiences and learnings. The universality of the Dokkodo lies in its applicability across various life situations. Musashi's precepts encourage a life of integrity, mindfulness, and self-reliance. They advocate for a direct, honest approach to life's challenges, emphasizing inner strength and personal conviction. One of the most popular and recognized Dokkodo principle being never stray from the way. Here, the way refers to one's path or chosen discipline. Musashi underscores the importance of steadfastness and dedication to one's principles and goals. This is probably the quote that Musashi is mostly known for, even in today's world. In his later years, Musashi embraced a life of solitude, moving away from the fame and glory that had marked his earlier years. He chose to live simply, often in hermit-like conditions, embodying his principle of detachment from material possessions. This period was marked by deep reflection and an even greater immersion in his art and writing. It was a time for Musashi to distill his life experiences into teachings for future generations. Musashi's artistic pursuits during this period were not just a pastime but an extension of his philosophical journey. His paintings and calligraphy works, often depicting elements of nature like birds or landscapes, were imbued with the same principles that guided his martial arts: simplicity, spontaneity, and a profound understanding of the natural world. Miyamoto Musashi passed away in June 1645, leaving behind a legacy that would inspire countless generations. His teachings, especially those in the Book of Five Rings and the Dokkodo, continue to be revered not just in martial arts but in various fields across the world. His approach to life, characterized by continuous learning, adaptation, and a profound understanding of the self and the world, remains as relevant today as it was in the era of the samurai. The story of Miyamoto Musashi is more than a tale of a legendary swordsman. It is a narrative of human potential, the pursuit of excellence, and the quest for understanding the journey of mastery. Thank you for making it this far if you did. I really enjoyed making this video, and I hope you also enjoyed watching it.